Right, morning. This is my second Stu's news of the day because I've just done it and didn't have it on my PC screen when I was going through the Twitter feed. So this one is going to be much quicker than the first, and I'm going to make sure I do it right. Now, I just want to say I made some hydroxychloroquine, HCQ, homemade stuff yesterday, so it's my first day on it. I slept last night. Well, I got up in the morning, didn't I? I only went to bed for 3 hours. I thought it was 4:45 in the morning, but I actually got up at midnight. My sinuses have never been as clear. Now, I know I'm into day 6 of putting that cream in there, but it's never been like that before. So that's wonderful. So I'm going to do that over the next 10 days or so. See how we'll get on with it. But if anyone wants that recipe that I got from Mark Atwood, just ask. Now, let me put that on PC screen and we're going to whiz through this. Now, Michael Jaco is talking about troop build up. I'm just going to show you Lee first. Now, Lee Dundas, she is amazing human rights lawyer. She did a wicked chat with Sasha Stone yesterday about human trafficking, and you must watch it. It's an eye opener. But she's just, if you don't understand all this legal banter like I don't, she really puts it in layman's terms, and she talks about all sorts of things here, the Insurrection Act and stuff. But I'll just give you a tiny little bit of it.
As a backdrop, a couple of pieces of news from the last 24 hours. First, the Joint Congressional Commission on Inauguration Ceremonies again voted down a resolution to acknowledge Joe Biden as president-elect. They are refusing to acknowledge Joe Biden as president-elect. Okay, some food for thought. Second of all, right now in Michigan, per court order from a judge who got it right, there are 22 Dominion machines that are being analyzed by a forensic team of guys who know what they're doing in that regard. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see where that goes. Third, Jen Ellis said today that she is confident at least one swing state is going to take back the power to select electors and do their own thing and switch their votes behind Trump, which is what their votes indicated it should have been anyway, and that they have a multiplicity of other states that they are working on in a similar vein. From the White House today, or yesterday I think it was, Trump said the election was rigged. We've heard him say that before. And you're going to see a lot of big things happening over the next couple of days. And then he declined to say what. At the Arizona press conference, where a contingent of Arizona Republican legislators were asking their state to decertify their own election results, at the end of that, you had one of the legislators take a microphone and say, there's a lot happening behind the scenes that we are not aware of. And I believe President Trump will be sworn in. For what it's worth, I think this woman was on the money. There is a lot going on behind the scenes that the average person is not aware of, and I do believe President Trump will be sworn in, and so should you. Sidney Powell has said that there are going to be at least 3 states before the Supreme Court by the end of the week, which cumulatively, of course, have the ability to sway this election. And some final interesting food for thought. Kamala has not given up her Senate seat here in California yet. For comparison, Obama gave up his seat 3 full weeks earlier. He announced on November 13th. Is there a reason for that? Probably. All right, so we are...
Right, that's a really good catch up there. That's 16 minutes long and a great watch. Right, it's Michael Jaco just talking about there's a bit of a troop build up.
First off, let me share the screen, and
I'm just making sure I'm on the right screen. Stop recording, that's my PC screen. I don't want to be doing this for a third time.
we'll talk about some things that are just popping out there. You know, it's probably nothing, just kind of like what I said about, Barack Obama being arrested. I'm like, I don't know if this is true or not, but I kind of feel like it is. So ominous, U.S. positioning naval vessels off east and west coast, massive troop movements in CONUS meaning in the continental United States. So this is something a lot of us have been looking at. in kind of an amusement because we know that there's something cooking and somebody is going to get cooked. Over the past 4 days, there have been massive movements of troops, equipment, and supplies within the continental United States. Today, Tuesday, the United States Navy is positioning aircraft carriers with their strike groups off both the U.S. East and West Coast. It appears we are preparing to defend ourselves from within, from an invasion. China? I'd say from within. Late Saturday, no fewer than 25 C-17 aircraft were in the skies over the USA, carrying troops and equipment from around the nation, all going to Nellis Air Force Base. And I talked about that. On Sunday, locals on and around Nellis reported the base was swarming with soldiers and Marines. They also reported seeing a vast array of land fighting vehicles coming out of cargo aircraft. Naval deployments. This morning, meaning this morning, Tuesday, according to the U.S. Naval Institute, the Navy has deployed 3 aircraft carriers plus a landing helicopter dock, LHD, as you can see right here. So that moves Marine Battalion. That's a lot of people. I have been on cruises like that way back when I was in UDT 12, and there was a helicopter landing ship, and I was on a ship, and we would go in and survey the beaches like the old UDT days of World War II, and then the Marines would come and do landings. It's a lot of fun, little piece of history. So yeah, Mike's been around a long time, doing a lot of stuff. It was fun. So, but I'm looking at this and going, so what's this all about? Deploying our aircraft carriers off both of our coast. So given that these new naval deployments, so this is coming from the Hal Turner radio show. And, they'll like discredit him as being a conspiracy theorist and, spreading disinformation and, trumping stuff up and all kind of crazy stuff. But, there's patriots out there trying to keep everybody informed, keep everybody from getting crazy out there. So just letting you guys know that things are about to happen. Given these new naval deployments and the very large sudden movement of troops into Nellis Air Force Base, one gets the impression that the United States is preparing to defend its homeland from actual invasion. So word in intelligence circles says that if the Supreme Court voids any or all of the November 3rd election due to the massive fraud and violations of the U.S. Constitution and changes to election laws, the lawless extension of voting for weeks in violation of 3 U.S.C. 1 and 2, the Democrats are planning on asking the United Nations to invade and to depose Trump as a dictator. There is also word within intelligence circles that the states of California, Oregon, and Washington, plus New York, might actually try to secede from the Union if Trump gets 4 more years, and may need to be forcibly, remember I've been talking about this, brought back under U.S. control. The U.S. may renegade southern states were the same way renegade southern states were handled back in the 1860s Civil War. There's not going to be a Civil War. There's going to be a mop-up of people that are a little out of control in big cities. So I've been talking about that. A lot of us have been seeing that have had the gift of seeing.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's enough of that. There's a massive build-up of troops, and this is what it's all been getting ready for. But we've been told this, if you read the drops, for a long time. Whether they've got crystal balls, Project Looking Glass, or a DeLorean. We're watching this all unfold, and it's all been predicted, and they're getting ready for... well, you can't overturn an election that hasn't been overturned. It's only the mainstream media that have called this result, and they're not allowed to. It doesn't happen. So, when the news comes out, there could be a lot of rioting or whatever, but they're preparing, we believe, to quash it quickly. Now, let's have a whiz through the Twitter, right, because I'm not sitting here all day. Ellin Wood tweeted a little while back, and I watched this with that. Lee Dundas mentioned it during the interview with Sasha Stone. Linwood, Americans will be shocked at the level of paedophilia, satanic worship from past admins occupying the Oval Office for some periods of years. Now, if that doesn't make your hair stand on end, nothing will. That was Lee just there. Trump did a live speech last night talking about COVID vaccine, Operation Warp Speed and everything, and you know, people came on, and then he basically came up, did an executive order and thanked a lot of people. Now I was listening, and it was quite interesting because Deborah Birx was there, one of the doctors, and he did thank her for the work she'd done. So is she a white hat? You know, is she on the side of good? We've undenied about this over the years, but there was no mention of Fauci whatsoever. So he weren't there, which is good news, which we knew anyway.
You told the American people that we would have a vaccine before the end of the year. And
where's that coming from? Don't want to listen to that. Right, now I'm just going to play this. This is a nice little, because, you know, everything Lee's talking about, everything we talk about, everything Michael Jaco's talking about, is building up to now. You know, we ain't got to wait much longer. It's all going down. There was a News 17 dropped, which was wonderful when I turned my phone on when I got up. There's a reason I only went to bed for 3 hours last night and got up again. I've been back to bed since, but I should just play this. There was one drop last night, and it was to this YouTube video. So Trump rally. Look at that. Trump rally on land. just stop that there, because in the height of the riots, that bloke got dragged out of his truck. I think he managed to get away, but no, that was a good video, that. But I just noticed something in that. I just want to check it. This guy's now, the inside of that geezer's mouth looks like a black mamba, doesn't it? Fact of the day, black mambas are not black, they're grey. The inside of their mouth is black, hence the name. That doesn't look right, does it? What's going on there? What would do that? Interesting. Right, there's a lot of information here. If you go and look at the drop 79, this is someone posted that yesterday. This is talks about all sort of now really, and now this is, if you're still watching the mainstream media, you don't get information like this. What the mainstream media does is try and hide stuff like this. In fact, the mainstream media is complicit in this, working with Big Pharma and you know, these big CDC and things like this, to not only hide the truth but to spread misinformation.
For the hearing,
let me just say before I answer that, that this is not just a government culpability and malfeasance with respect to hydroxychloroquine. This is academic malfeasance. There were 2 fraudulent papers, one in the New England Journal of Medicine, one in Lancet, published by individuals interested in doing evil to the world with respect to a beneficial treatment of hydroxychloroquine. In an unprecedented manner, these 2 manuscripts were withdrawn after 2 weeks where they could scare the public and the world's physician audience. Since that time, there have been dozens of fraudulent...
Re-emphasize that. They were then withdrawn.
They were withdrawn, and the New England Journal of Medicine and Lancet acknowledged that they were fraudulent papers. They were scare papers to scare people on hydroxychloroquine. Since that time, there's been dozens of pile-on scare tactics in academics. This isn't the government. This is people in my field, in academic medicine, who are committing academic fraud. I reviewed a paper. I'm a cardiologist. I reviewed a paper that made it into the medical literature demonstrating that hydroxychloroquine causes a heart attack, that hydroxychloroquine causes a giant scar in the heart. And I can tell you, I'm at Baylor in Dallas. We have the world's most recognized cardiac pathology program in the world. Our senior examiner has held in his hands, more human hearts than anybody in the history of mankind. I can tell you firsthand, hydroxychloroquine does not cause giant scars in the heart. So academic medicine is committing a fraud, is committing, I think, a crime against humanity. There must be a motivation behind this that's much bigger than just Democrat versus Republican. I am extremely concerned, honestly, about the academic contribution to scare tactics in the world. Now, it's not working everywhere. In India, it's given first line. In India is such a crowded country. I've been there myself. Their deaths per million population.
For the hearing.
Yeah, amazing. So, the mainstream media are full of shit. We know it. Right. Oh, this link may be unsafe. What is that? Arise Homo sapiens. Now, this is Sasha Stone talking to a guy in Singapore for 50 minutes, and that is a great chat. Arise Homo sapiens smells like treason, and he basically, if you want to wake anyone up with one video before the hammer goes down, just go and look for that. Stan Yeo of Singapore, he wants to know what's going on in his country, but what Sasha Stone tells him, it's everywhere, it's global. You need to watch it. Right, Texas is suing Georgia Wisconsin, Michigan and Pennsylvania. For illegally changing rules violating the US Constitution, this 100% goes to SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States. Blah blah. So things are going down. You know, Trump and all that know exactly what's going on. There, it's all going to the Constitution. That is the supreme law of the United States, and it's very interesting. One of the unknowns noticed that Brad Rassenberger, will be a fantastic Secretary of State for Georgia. Brian Kemp, blah blah. November the 26th, 2018. 2 years later, 2-year delta. President Trump calls for GOP Georgia Secretary of State Brad Rassenberger the enemy of the people. It's quite interesting, that. Jenny Ellis has tested positive for coronavirus. Or has she? Probably not. What's this? Nah, that's nothing. Trump wanted to... I will play this. Must watch. Trump has been saying what we need at Real Donald Trump. You asked which GOP member will stand up. Well, here he is, defending the Constitution. This 4 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, this is my 5th speech in a series on voter fraud, election theft, and the presidential election. For emphasis, Congress is the judge, jury, and final arbiter of the 2020 presidential election contest. Further, America's election system is plagued by systemic flaws that promote voter fraud and election theft. Joe Biden exploited one such flaw when he brazenly promised more than 10 million illegal aliens that he will give them amnesty and citizenship if they help elect Joe Biden president. The Constitution's election clause, Article 1, Section 4, is very clear. Congress has absolute authority over the, quote, times, places, and manner of holding elections, end quote, for federal offices. Pursuant to the election clause and Title II, United States Code Section 7, Congress set November 3rd as the 2020, quote, day for the election, end quote. For emphasis, Congress set a, quote, day for the election on which citizens vote. Congress did not set an election week, an election month, or an election season during which citizens can cast votes. Also pursuant to the election clause, Congress created limited exceptions to its vote within a 24-hour window mandate, to wit, alternative voting means for persons with disabilities. Overseas persons may vote by absentee ballot. Persons expected to be absent from their voting location or state on election day may vote by absentee ballot. Any voting schemes that allow voting outside of congressionally mandated times and means are illegal under the Constitution and federal statute. Congress's reasons for limiting voting to one 24-hour period are described by the 2005 Bipartisan Commission on Federal Election Reform, co-chaired by Democrat President Jimmy Carter and former Republican White House Chief of Staff and Secretary of State James Baker. They strongly cautioned against overly broad absentee ballot and vote-by-mail schemes because they, quote, increase the risk of fraud, end quote. The Bipartisan Commission found that absentee voting has been one of the major sources of fraud in American elections and that vote-by-mail, quote, is vulnerable to abuse in several ways. Blank ballots mailed to the wrong address or to large residential buildings might get intercepted. Citizens who vote at home, at nursing homes, at the workplace, or in church are more susceptible to pressure, overt and subtle, or to intimidation. Vote-buying schemes are far more difficult to detect when citizens vote by mail, end quote. Mr. Speaker, Congress passed laws to prevent voter fraud and election theft by establishing, with minor exceptions, a 24-hour window in which to vote. In contrast, socialist Democrats used bureaucratic allies or engaged in rigged lawsuits involving conspiratorial parties and inattentive judges to obtain sham settlement agreements that blatantly violate the Constitution and federal law to promote voter fraud and election theft with the singular goal of stealing the United States presidency. In particular, all en masse vote-by-mail schemes promote voter fraud and election theft and are illegal because they violate Congress's election procedures and 24-hour voting mandate. As such, all votes cast pursuant to these vote-by-mail schemes are illegal, void, and should not be counted. Mr. Speaker, the evidence is overwhelming, compelling, and irrefutable. If only lawful votes cast by eligible American citizens are counted, President Trump won the Electoral College and a second term as president. Congress can either support illegal voting, voter fraud, and election theft, or not. Because I believe in the rule of law and our republic, it is my duty as a member of Congress to, on January the 6th, object to and vote to reject the Electoral College submissions of all states whose election systems are so badly flawed as to render their vote submissions unreliable, untrustworthy, and unworthy of acceptance. And Mr. Speaker, that is exactly what I intend to do. I yield back.
Hear, hear that man. Hear, hear. So that's very well said. Judge Emmett Sullivan dismissed the Flynn case completely today as a distraction. Someone's put here. They're getting hammered, and they know they're getting hammered. So this is all like, don't look here, look there. While the mainstream media try and hold up the lie, and push forward this false narrative of JB is PE. No, he isn't, and nor will he be. This is a video with Lee, and if you go on to the, please watch this.
Alright, we are live on.
This is so eye-opening with Imani just introduces it, but it's a chat between these two, Sashto and Lee Dundas, International Tribunal for Natural Justice. That was 18 hours ago. Now, when I did this the first time, that was 17 hours ago, and I did mention that. However, a lot of people are talking about this sort of stuff now. It's just a bit of hearsay really, but I think these two guys, people are saying, is it the same nurse doing it? Whoever it is, neither nurse wore gloves when giving these people this injection. It's not correct protocol. When I did the news yesterday and I was talking about this, I went into the comments and mentioned a couple, but there was one in the middle that I skipped past, but when I watched it back I read it and it was someone going, no, this is completely wrong. So if you're watching yesterday's news, or you can go back and have a look at it, you can read that. That was good. This is one of the annals posted yesterday. White hats unrigged the Rust Belt swing states, which is exactly why this election is going as planned. If anyone here can't see that, then they really don't belong here on the board. If they could unrig it, then they could unrig it. They didn't, to destroy America's faith in the electoral system. Trump left Wray in to destroy faith in the FBI. He left Haspel in to destroy faith in the CIA. He put Barr in to destroy faith in the Department of Justice. He left Fauci in to destroy faith in the NIH and the CDC. All the corruption needs to be exposed, so we will not only accept the tearing down and rebuilding of these institutions, but so we will demand it. Exactly. Yeah. Is this lady again? You can go and look at the comments on that. I just want to show you a couple of these pictures, because that's the 79 drop. There's just a couple of little points. Someone picked up yesterday, I haven't looked into this further, that this guy, Willie Shakespeare from Warwickshire, having his injection, that was on the news yesterday. Someone's put here that it's actually from October the 22nd. So I haven't looked on that. This is just stuff people are banging out. This is this lady being pushed down the corridor, making a blatant Masonic hand gesture there. A lot of you probably say that's coincidence, but I never sit there with my hands like that. I know a lot of the politicians do. And then other people are saying, oh, the lady that got pushed down in the crowd in that demonstration was a crisis actor, so that's her, she is a crisis actor, not having a real injection, blah blah. Now, a lot of people go, oh, that's bollocks, and even myself, I'm going, I have to investigate everything. I don't look at anything like that. I look at her, and I look at her straight away, I'm going, I don't think that's the same person, number one, but I like to investigate everything further. But it's funny how many coincidences keep coming up. We've got the standard TV nurses having a clap in the background. You know, are they going to get the chairs out with wheels on and all do a dance in a minute? I don't know. But anything that's on the mainstream media, I question. This is spoke yesterday. This guy has just popped up doing a video. You can watch it on Twitter. It is very strange. He's using a few cryptic clues. A lot of people said, oh, it's Christopher Reeve. Other people have said it's this guy from SEAL 2 and 6. Well, one of the Anons posted this up yesterday, that one of this American journalist that apparently was beheaded in this stuff, which so many people looking at the time going, well, that's fake. Looks quite like this journalist, doesn't it? So, eyes on. There, that's that thing again. That's that. Yeah. Now, let me just show these two pictures quickly. I spoke about this. I wrote a reply to Mark Atwood, particularly about how they keep going off track and saying the word fuck and having a laugh, basically, and it was really good. And I wrote all that out, went to press tweet, and I had 17 characters left to use. So I mentioned it to JC in a reply. I wrote all that out to her, thought, there we go, I'm going to reply, and I had 17 left to use there as well. And I'm quite liking all these synchronicities at the time, and the more of my truth of friends and awakened people that don't put these things down to coincidence and look at them as synchronicities. It is happening everywhere. We're seeing them all over the place. Now, that was on my PC screen. Put it back to this one, which is good. So I don't really think there's anything else to catch up with at the moment. Hopefully later today we might have a little round table on Zoom, but I don't know whether people are available, but that's something I want to do in the future. So yeah, what's going on? Tell you what's going on. I'm going to go and turn my turbo trainer on. I'm going to ride up the mountain, I think, without putting my turbine to hold my nose open. A lot of people use those plasters, but I don't like them because they don't work very well, especially if you bought cheap crap pretend ones like I did from eBay. So I'm going to have another glug of natural homemade HCQ. And I'm going up the mountain. Come on! Woohoo! Lots of love. Speak soon.